Welcome to the underground, you rebel scum. This is the American Expat, and I guess there's some stuff happening in Davos. I guess the elites, or the people that see themselves as the elites of the world, are meeting now in Davos, discussing I guess what they would intend to be our future or something like that. You know, honestly, I look at the situation that we find ourselves in, and I wonder what are we supposed to do about these people that are trying to run our lives. It's like there's a war on freedom right now. They'd really love to take away any freedoms that we have, that we enjoy. And I guess their major target right now is free speech on the internet. And they feel that if they can crush that, then they can, I guess, do whatever they want. I'm not sure what their ultimate agenda is, but that does seem to be the target right now, is free speech on the internet. I've heard a bit about that being discussed in Davos, and I mean, obviously, we've seen what's been happening on the internet lately, and maybe it's time to start looking at these big companies like Google, for example, if they're doing YouTube or Twitter or any of these things, and maybe it's time for them to start being treated like a utility, so that our free speech rights are protected here, because otherwise I don't see how we're going to have any free speech left. That and, of course, much more coming up in just a second, so stick around. Wow, whoops. Oh, man. That was a little bit too much, I guess. The last little bit of the caffeine there. Just a little bit tonight, although a little bit, apparently, if you're doing like an espresso, is quite a bit. It's like the equivalent of 2 cups of coffee, all in one little tiny amount. Of course, I watered it down. I don't know if anybody here watching this drinks espresso. It's kind of like mud. I don't know, drinking really, really bitter mud that has a lot of caffeine in it. Anyway, yeah, that should be sufficient to get us through the program tonight. Again, as always, before we get too far, I would like to encourage everyone to join in the conversation. I'm not an expert in anything, so please share your knowledge with us, be it in the live chat if you're here with us live, or by leaving your comments down below if you're catching it after the fact. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. And if you like whatever it is that you hear here, hit the like button or the thumbs down button, whatever you want to do. And with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this discussion. So I already see in the live chat here from Mutant Riff, I'm a citizen of the land of the free, but I can't, and then you can fill in the blank. As of late, it sure seems that way. I remember when it was sort of a thing, right? You can go around and if somebody has a problem with what you have to say, you'd simply throw back at them, well, it's a free country, And that was sufficient. Like, okay, you want to get mad about it? Well, it's a free country. I can say what I want. And now it seems that they're trying to change all of that. Maybe somebody got really, really offended by someone one time that said something, and they're like, oh, it's a free country. And like, oh, yeah, I'm going to show you. One day I'm going to be in charge, and then we'll see how free it is. Anyway, our freedoms seem to be taken away. And this is the one that needs to be protected the most, because if they take away free speech, then obviously whatever else they take away, you won't be able to complain about it. You won't be able to say a word about it. Right now, they can kind of hide behind this this facade of saying, well, it's a private company like Google or Twitter. Twitter's a little bit better these days, but you get my point. They can hide behind that little disguise and say, oh, but it's a private company. Well, that needs to change. I think that I am now very much on board with this idea of, treating these companies as like a utility instead of, they might as well be. I think that they've probably, to be honest with you, been taking some sort of subsidy from a part of the government, maybe not publicly or known, as sort of a black project from one of the intelligence agencies. Now we need to make that official and just say it's a public utility. So then I can start throwing out well, it's a free country, so there. I might be really annoying to you, but guess what? It's a free country, so get over it. I think we need to get that that way. You know who you need to ignore, and you have the right to do that if you want, but they also have the right to be a jerk on the internet if they so choose. And if I see a problem with the government or with the current administration, whatever administration it happens to be, then I am free to get on the internet and say whatever I think. And it doesn't matter if somebody, that right now they want to throw out, you guys are just being influenced by Russians. It's like, wow, we've really come a long way. That reminds me, the news, if the news in the United States tells you anything, it's like you're like, maybe. What's their angle on this? I've seen that a lot of people have more trust in something coming out of the Russian news. This is something else that's come up. Of course, World War III has kind of risen up again, I guess now with this conflict expanding in ways that I didn't expect. In Yemen, now we have some serious problems where China, of course, is siding with them, and Russia. This is threatening to blow up into something. I don't know what their intentions are. Some people are saying that the current administration would like to invade Iran. I don't know what their ultimate goal is with this, but it is causing some serious problems. So that's been coming up in the news. Of course, our news is not saying that. They're busy reporting whatever it is that the White House wants them to say about how this is actually just, it's just, a little thing. We just blew some people up. It's just, a little thing over there in response to something that it doesn't matter. So just, swallow the news as we give it to you and just never mind. But anyway, I guess that the Russian news came out and said that World War III is already ongoing. It's already happening right now. And people on the internet are, they're ready to accept that. They don't want to accept what our news is saying, and they're ready to, can you imagine just a few years ago telling someone that people will trust the Russian? We're talking about something it's not even hidden. This is, state news, state-controlled news, and people trust what they're saying in some cases more than they do our media. It's gotten that bad. That's how far they've fallen from where they used to be to this point, where, nobody believes anything they say. If they came out and said, the obvious, I would, I feel like a lot of people would question it. It's kind of sad, isn't it? But that's rearing its ugly head again, this World War III stuff. I don't know if we'll actually end up getting into a global conflict. Plenty of people are saying that they think that the current administration, I've been hearing, I don't know if any of you have been hearing this as well, but I have been hearing that a lot of the European countries are preparing for war. And I haven't been hearing a lot about the conflict in Ukraine on the news. It's been more about Israel. Actually, they don't mention Israel so much as they mention the other side, the Palestinians. It's always, Israel's war on Palestine, and it's like, how did that start? Is it their war on them, or did they start the war on them? It's kind of bizarre the way that it's all set up. But that's, all the more reason why we don't trust the media over here. Let me see. I've got some comments. Oh, yes, Constitutional Carpenter. I enjoy espresso on my days off. Yeah, espresso is especially effective at waking you up. It's a little bit strong, but, it is... it's quite strong. Usually, if you're going to have something like a cappuccino or something, it's going to be made with espresso, just mixed with milk so that it's not so intense. But I just mix it with water and call it an Americano. I guess that's what our coffee is to the Italians. It's watered down coffee. That's what makes it American. Let's see, Ungrateful Peasant. I would rather pay for my high-speed internet and have less government in my life. Yeah, I know. I wish that it would go. You get on YouTube and you're still confronted with this stuff. It's all CNN and Fox News and all this. I can't stand it. It's like I don't even watch TV. I don't, and I don't like that when I go to YouTube, somehow it's trying to follow me there. It's like I didn't come in. I don't even want to, consume political stuff. I just want to, find some sort of entertainment that's, Yeah, that's why I go to YouTube. I enjoy watching people make stuff, I don't care if it's a really polished video or something like that. I like getting on there and just seeing what people are doing. It's kind of interesting. Sometimes there's even people that just go on long hikes. Hey, if I can't go on a hike right now, it's I can kind of feel like I'm going for a hike for a little while, in a way, as I'm doing whatever work it is that I'm supposed to do. But instead you get bombarded with all this other stuff. And even when I do watch videos like that, somehow after it's over, it'll still start playing CNN or something like that, or Fox News. It's like, well, I don't even watch this stuff. Why is it trying to push it on? But you get my point. Yeah, I don't, who needs the regular TV? I haven't watched a regular television program in quite some time. Part of that might have been living abroad, but you get my point. Also, Ungrateful Peasant, if it becomes a utility, they can regulate it and do what they want without drafting a bill and at least pretending to vote. All citizens would be regulated to the lowest, crappiest speeds. Yeah, that's another problem. But see, that's not what I mean. Not the internet becoming a utility itself, but rather, let's say, YouTube, for example, as a sort of quasi-utility, a place for, I guess, public discussion, a free speech utility. We could call it that. A free speech utility. I would like to see that so that, we can at least have our rights protected somewhat. It doesn't seem to have worked. You would hope that some of these ideals would be, I guess, ingrained into American society, but somehow it's not. Instead, we have a lot of people that, the so-called or self-proclaimed elites in our society, instead deciding that they need to regulate speech in order to maintain order, whatever order it is that they're talking about. But they're really coming after speech now. They really want to have control of the internet. You've heard Nikki Haley and other people saying, oh, well, you should have to use your ID to get online. That way, we know what you're doing and who you are. That's what the Chinese government does. I remember being shocked when I found that out. Really? You have to use your ID? You have to have your ID to get a phone. You have to have your ID to get online. They know exactly who you are and what you're doing, and that's the law. And I thought that was crazy. They already control what's on the internet enough, right? Now they have to make sure who you are and what you're doing. Anyway, I thought that was the land of crazy, dictatorships. And now here it is. We have people that are supposedly on our side. They pretend to be on our side, claiming that we need to use our ID to get on the internet so that, they'll say it's because of deep fakes. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean it. How is that going to fix anything? If somebody's going to make a deep fake, then how does my having my ID when I get on the internet change the fact that somebody made a deep fake? If they make a deep fake and say, oh, I got this recording of so-and-so saying this, that doesn't require me to be online. How does that protect me from anything? The deep fake, it does nothing. So it's a false argument. It's not going to help anything, and it's just going to restrict our freedoms and make it so that crazy governments, like what we're seeing right now with our own government, can easily just come and, say, ha, we got you. You were speaking against us. Now we're going to have to, audit you, or, oh, we have to take you in. You're going to have to take your guns away because of, we're worried about your mental health, something like that. It's just absolutely crazy. Ungrateful Peasant again. It boils down to the ID with the chip. The military has been testing it the last 20 years. We have to use a card to access government computers. See, I can kind of understand in that setting. They want to know who's been getting on. If something does get high, well, yeah, it's the military. That they have stricter security, but this is different. The military is supposed to exist for the purpose of protecting our rights, right? At least that's what I thought. It's unfortunate that they would like to move all of this out, but that's what the government does. You think about Social Security cards, right? You've got your Social Security number. The original Social Security cards had it written on there, this is not intended to be used as ID, and now you can't do anything without that number. Everybody's got a number. In fact, my son has one in three different countries. It's like, how many? It's absolutely crazy. The government will find a way to track you and everything that you do if you let them. And I really wish that we could somehow reverse the direction that things are going so that we can have our freedoms back. If we could just go to the pre-9/11 sort of scenario or situation, that would be great. I would absolutely love that, Just at the very least, don't make me take my shoes off when I go through the airport. It's not helping anybody. Obviously, they're letting the illegal immigrants go through the line without any sort of identification or security check, so why not? Let's see, that is fine for the military and DOD, but not for citizens. Absolutely. That's what I mean. I understand in that situation where you're dealing with, real security, but for me to get on the internet and express my opinions, I really would prefer that the government didn't track me. There's too much potential for someone to use that, abuse that power, or what they would find a way to turn it into a power. That makes me think of my time in China. Anyone who, even if they have the smallest job in the government, they're going to find a way to use it to their advantage. There's always a way. You wouldn't think so, It could be the parking meter person. If we lived in a society like that, and in some ways we do, it's been made quite apparent that at least at the very top, it's quite corrupt. Somebody's going to find a way to corrupt it, to use it to their advantage, to make a buck, whatever it is, or they're going to do something wrong. If you can imagine that this could be used wrong, then it's going to be used in the wrong way. Just like what we're seeing with the FBI. If it can be done wrong, it will be done wrong. So just remember that. If they are trying to tell you like, oh, we're not going to, you can trust the government. We're the good guys. You can give us your ID so that you can get online and we can track what you're saying on there. We need to protect against deep fakes and that sort of thing, and online trolls. You can trust. No, you can't. You absolutely can't trust them. They're going to track what you're saying, and if you're a political opponent, maybe at some point they're going to go against you. They're going to, keep track of you and prevent you from reaching people. That's what we've been seeing a lot of as of late, where they just prevent you from actually reaching anyone so that you can't influence them to think in different ways. But it's absolutely terrible. Let's see. Peter Ehinger, Jay, did you get snow, and what temperature is it by you now? It's been quite cold. We do have snow right now. We do have snow as I speak. The school actually, oh man, it's like 7 o'clock. I'm getting ready to get my son ready to go to sleep, and I see this message like, tomorrow, send the kids with, snow or ski stuff so they can play in the snow. They need gloves and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, he's got his coat that's for that sort of thing and a pair of gloves, but the other half of it is in France. So yeah, we had to rush out to the store, and try and figure out the situation so that he can actually play in the snow. I think last night it got down to 9. Maybe I'm going to have to check to see what the weather's going to do for us. Hang on a second. I can actually pull it up right now, and I can find out. So currently the temperature is 19, and it looks like it's going to get down to about 14 degrees overnight. And tomorrow, tomorrow will be a little bit warmer, 38, but it's going to snow again, supposedly. So that'll be interesting. I guess we'll get a little bit more snow. Maybe it's already been a rough week. The week already started with school off on Monday for Martin Luther King Day. Then they closed school on Tuesday because of the snow. 2-hour delay, and then now we've got some more snow coming, and I expect they've got some snow days saved up, so the school will probably close, and it's going to make it really hard to get any work done if they do that. So we'll hope that weather passes us by. Actually, I used to enjoy this sort of weather back when I had a Jeep and no responsibilities of any kind, except for myself. I could, I'll drive to work in the Jeep, throw it in 4-wheel drive. Now, it's more like, oh man, if it snows, then I've got a lot of stuff to deal with on top of, all the work that I've got to do. I'm going to have my son here, and it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to get things done. I mean, I enjoy having him here. It's we get to play around a bit, but it sure makes it difficult to get work done. So we'll hope that doesn't happen. Let's see. Mutant Riff, I'm picking citrus in my t-shirt today. Oh, man, I remember that from when I was in California years and years ago. Christmas time. That meant people giving you fresh oranges off of their tree, that sort of thing. Absolutely great experience. There's none of that here. The trees are all completely bare. Everything, everywhere you look, it's just gray and brown. It's all gone. Let's see. Ungrateful Peasant. The real ID is the tool. They want everyone to use it for domestic flights, store your medical info, etc. It will be turned into some sort of UN ID if we don't push back. And the UN is another thing. They, I wish that has been completely corrupted. Whatever intention they had for it originally, it's been completely corrupted at this point, and it's worthless. Absolutely worthless. It causes more harm than good in many cases. And the real ID, I never bothered to get that because, I've got a passport. I always have a passport. So why, I don't need it to fly on planes. I can just use my passport. So I've never actually gotten it. I think that my wife has one. Her ID says that on there. But, I guess I've never needed it because I have federal ID as it is. It's ridiculous. Why you would need that for domestic travel when they have people that don't need any ID, apparently, to be able to go anywhere. No documentation whatsoever. The government will take you wherever you want to go, or I guess wherever they want them to go. I'm still not sure what the situation is with all these illegals that have been coming in. They've been keeping them in camps in Chicago and different places in New York. And it sounds to me like they're prisoners. Or there's something else going on. Because normally, like I've said in the past, if somebody comes into the country illegally, their goal, they typically want to avoid any encounters with the government whatsoever. They don't want any trouble with the police. They don't want any trouble with anybody. They're going to avoid all of that. They're going to, be very low key. They're just here to try and make money and get by. So it's very strange to me to have these large groups of illegal immigrants coming in and I guess going wherever the government has them go in camps. I don't understand it. It's the weirdest thing. I've never heard of that before outside of Europe. In Europe, it's like that. They have, refugee camps that people stay in. They've had a lot of people from Ukraine that live in these camps, and then they'll, they can come out if they want to try and find work or go to school or whatever. But it's a real mess. It's actually a real mess over there too. The situation with the migrants, but it sounds like they're bringing it here. It's the same thing. Millions of people coming into the country with no goal or plan of any kind about finding work or what they're going to do, and they're just living in camps with stuff provided by the government. It's absolutely bizarre. But I have to, I don't think that they're prisoners. I think that they're here as, the same thing that's happening in Europe, as I said. What's this saying? It's saying ads will, I see. Hey, everybody, let me know if an advertisement pops up in the middle of this, because I just noticed something on the bottom of the screen saying that there was an advertisement going to run for some viewers. That's kind of different. I've never seen that before. I've had people mention that an advertisement was running, but I've never actually seen it myself pop up on here. But apparently it just did. So that'll be interesting to hear you guys. I wonder if I'll actually maybe I'll actually make some money, Maybe this thing it'll never make enough money to actually sustain anything or pay bills or something like that. Supposedly I'm going to get paid, supposedly. At the end of this month. We'll see. I made the bare minimum threshold after like half a year. I'll get $100 or something like that. Maybe I'll get some new little gadget, or I don't know. I'll have to think of a way to reinvest it. Maybe I can have some kind of a competition. I'll get something that I can do a giveaway on because we made it to $100 or something like that. maybe I would have gotten to that $100 a lot faster if I'd actually been doing these live streams as I had intended so much of the time. It just got, like I said, so difficult. I tried to get it going when I was in China, and it just did not seem to want to work. No matter what I did. It's kind of like, it was a disaster. The internet, oh man, the internet was fine. I had fast enough internet. It's just that, that great firewall thing, it was very difficult to get connected to YouTube. The VPN that I paid for that was supposed to work flawlessly never worked. I mean, it worked sometimes. You guys saw I did a live stream while I was there a couple of times, but for the most part, it did not work at all. It was always really like it would start to work, and then the government would basically find it and shut it down, that sort of thing. Yeah, the papers, please. Oh, man. Like I said, it's insane that they would even suggest that. So Nikki Haley, who right now thinks that it's a two-person race. See, I saw that and I thought, well, I guess if she's, ahead of DeSantis now, but it turns out that DeSantis is actually ahead of her. I thought it was the other way around. And she's saying it's a two-person race now. She's out of her mind. She must be absolutely crazy. But yeah, and of course she is. She's the one that's coming out and saying we need to have ID to get online. She'd probably support the social credit system too. I thought that was crazy when China was doing that. Like, oh my gosh, look at how insane this is. No, they would do this. And then suddenly it's here in the United States, and they're pushing the same stupid program on us, and nobody seemed, well, I guess plenty of you guys probably recognize, like, oh, well, the ESG is the same. That's the social credit system they have in China. Now they're pushing it on us. But it's absolutely crazy, because when I was talking about it when I was in China, people were all like, oh my gosh, these people are so evil. And now, well, we have our very own version of it. Hey, Andy Foxy, glad to have you here. Welcome. Glad to see you. We're just about done. I think I've got about 2 more minutes before I wrap this up. But, yeah. Oh, by the way, did you guys see my video that I put out today? I'm trying to set up 2 other channels. I want to make this one. I'm just going to do these live streams, and I'm going to move other content to some different channels. But I wanted to see what anybody thought of it when I put it out. I got a comment from some people saying it was well put together. I don't know. I think it has some flaws, but it was fun putting it together just the same. Let's see. She is backed by BlackRock and the military-industrial complex. Of course, she is. She's. I don't know. There's one thing. It's one thing to be arrogant, right? To really, this is like stupid. That's the only thing I can think of to say. When somebody else is ahead of you, and then you get up and say, "Oh, it's a two-person." I'm not going to do the debate because it's a two-person race unless Donald Trump gets in the debate. I don't think Donald Trump is going to debate her. What a waste of time. But just like, hey, there's somebody else that's actually ahead of you. What are you talking about? I don't know. She strikes me as something of an idiot. I don't know her personally. I should be careful the things that I say, because I don't know her personally. For all I know, she's the nicest person in the world. But when somebody does something like that, they clearly don't know what's happening in the real world. They're living in some kind of pretend world. It's the same with Biden. We hear about all these horrible things, and I think he's probably a terrible person. But I don't know Joe Biden. I have no idea. Maybe he's, just the nicest old man in the world. I don't think he is, but, I don't know him. Donald Trump, same thing. I don't know Donald Trump. He's, I guess he's like a movie character to me. Some kind of, I'd rather have him. Whatever happened to this country? It used to be that we had things like that. America's supposed to be kind of like a brash place with lots of macho stuff, When I was a kid, like monster trucks. I guess they still have monster truck rallies. But when did that become a bad thing or somehow a negative thing? I think that the United States should embrace that yet again. Get back into the crazy weird stuff like that. Oh, we don't just have trucks, we have monster trucks that run over cars and do all kinds of crazy stuff. We need to get back to that. That's the kind of spirit that leads you to go to the moon successfully. I mean, we had a private company that was apparently trying to land something on the moon that went wrong, but yeah, we'll see. We need to get back to that. America's supposed to be that. That's what the rest of the world, it's like pro wrestling. We like to kind of laugh about it a lot of times here in the United States, but if you went to Europe, you would be shocked. You would be shocked how popular pro wrestling is outside of the United States. There are people that follow this religiously. I know there are people in the United States that follow it religiously, but you'd be surprised how popular it is in France. I was shocked when I was in China. Early on, I had some roommates. There was a guy from Australia and a guy from New Zealand, and these are two people that I thought were like kind of intellectual, and anyway, one night I come in and they're having this debate amongst themselves about about pro wrestling, and I'm thinking like, what is going on here? What are you guys talking about? Oh, it was bizarre. So you'd be surprised. Those kinds of things are actually popular outside of the United States. I know a lot of Americans like to be apologetic for things like that in the United States. Oh, yeah, America's kind of embarrassing. No, that's the stuff that they like. They like that about America. We need to have more of that. We need to embrace that side of what we are. You know what I mean? Let's see. Peter Ehinger, our taxes going to pay each one of those people money for what? Yeah. That is frustrating what's happening with the migrants coming in. A lot of that is being paid for with taxpayer money. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't know why they're doing that, because they just seem to be keeping them in camps. I don't know if it's just so they can use them as a political pawn or what, but it's really bizarre. It's not the way that things normally happen. Let's see more about Nikki Haley. She got destroyed in the debates. Biggest loser, and Trump wasn't even there. Yeah. What does she think is going to happen if she actually had a debate with Donald Trump? What exactly does she think is going to happen? She's going to get annihilated. I mean, Donald Trump, he was president for 4 years. He knows things that she has no idea about. She's not got a clue. She's not in on it. She hasn't had to do those sorts of things. What does she think she's going to do when she gets into that debate? It's I don't even know if she could win against, well, maybe she could against Biden, but anyway. Yeah, we better bring it to an end. Machina Opus, thanks for the show. You're welcome. Glad you guys could enjoy it. One last time before we go, make sure that you leave your comment if you happen to be coming in after we're done. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on future videos. I know a lot of people are... yeah, we want you here. And hit the like button or the thumbs down button if you prefer. And with that, I guess we'll go ahead and end it. I guess, we'll see you guys in the next one.
ไฟพะวงหลงเฝ้าสาวเจ้าบางประกงทางห้วยงงหลงเกิน